Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's my privilege and my pleasure to be here with you today to bring to you a lifetime of experiences and insights and inspirations of a lifetime with the hope or the intention of impacting you and your loved ones for the rest of your lives. That's my intention. I like to say each week when I make my presentations that I'm still Dr. Arnold Nierenberg. I've been licensed as a clinical psychologist in the state of California since 1974. And I've been licensed to walk upon this earth since 1941. So I've been here over 83 years. And I'd like to say I finally know what I'm doing. The title of today's presentation is The Society Building Programs of the Honor Movement. The Society Building Programs of the Honor Movement, a summary. I'm going to summarize over 30 programs. We're breaking into 3 sections. Today, I'm going to try to get as much done as I can on the foundation for all the society building programs. There's a basic foundation, and you'll see a chart that should show up on your screen. And I would like to say that in the honor movement, which has been ongoing for about 15 years, we're about 2,000 members, and the textbook that we have that I wrote is called The Teachings of Honor, and we're just coming out with the 3rd edition now. We've done interviews on the streets of over 5,000 people. One study of 1,000 subjects, we found that over 70% of people said they'd like more honor in their lives. We didn't even define it then. And they feel if there's more honor in the world, there'll be more happiness and more peace in the world. And then I published a study in the National Psychologist on people who took the pledge to follow the 4 principles of honor. And it was about 1,106 subjects. And we found that people who took the pledge to follow this for the rest of their lives, 95% of them said they felt good immediately, no matter how badly they felt. Over 95% said they felt more hope immediately, right away. And over 92% said they felt more meaning in their lives instantly. So no matter how despondent they were, as soon as they took that pledge from me, that they're going to recite the 4 principles of honor 3 times a day for the rest of their lives, the effect was immediate. Now, so it's 50 years to develop. It's from the honor movement, and we like to associate with other organizations that would like to participate in bringing these educational programs to society. Now, in the honor movement, we don't ask for contributions or donations, and if somebody offers money, we don't take it. So there's no money involved in the organization, and nobody has any power. I'm the original spokesperson for it. I really feel that the Spirit inspired it in me, and it's consistent with the scriptures of all religious teachings. So there's no money and no power in the movement, so we offer these programs free to any institution, any organization that wants to be a part of it. So at the top of this triangle is honor. At the top, honor. And then under that, we have thoughts, which free will. And over here, we have respect for real communication. We have over 30 programs. And then the institutions that under that are marriage, parenting, education, and livelihood. So that's the schemata for the foundation of all the society building programs are based on that. And I'm defining honor as loyalty to your highest constructive values as enshrined in the 4 principles of honor while striving to cause no harm emotionally or physically. So that's the definition. And it's been well tested in a therapy setting, and the implications for society have been enormous. So first we'll start off with honor. So the 4 principles of honor are these. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And then one of 2 principles. Depends whether somebody believes in God or not. If somebody does not believe in God or doesn't want to address God, it's I seek always to serve my highest values. to believe in God as I do, then a person would use, God, your wish is my only wish. So I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality, my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And then either I seek always to serve my highest values, or God, your wish is my only wish. Now, I've also called the 4 principles of honor 4 commandments of honor in this sense, that we're commanding the honor that's already within us to rise into consciousness in terms of thoughts, words, and actions. So that's why I call them commandments of honor. So people who follow that way can be called followers of the way of honor, disciples of the way of honor. And then to take a lifetime pledge, and this is the pledge that was given where we had such amazingly positive mental health results. As a disciple of honor, I pledge myself all the days of my life to the 4 commandments of honor, and I'll teach them to those I love. I'll repeat them every morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll listen to myself recite them. Again, we call them the 4 commandments of honor. They're the 4 principles of honor. They're called commandments only because we're commanding that which is within us to rise into consciousness in terms of thoughts, words, and actions. The 4 principles of honor. Nobody disagrees with any of those. I mean, nobody. There's no scripture that would go against I wish you well. There's no teachings of any constructive nature that would say just blame people and don't take any responsibility. Nobody. All the very spiritual teachers from the divine teachers, the great teachers that we've had, will all talk about becoming stronger from the hardships, that they're a bounty, that it's light upon light, even though outwardly it looks like a terrible thing. And then nobody, no sister would disagree with that we should seek to serve our highest values, or if we believe in God, God, your wish is my only wish. So it's consistent with every approach without exception. And then the pledge is a lifetime commitment. It takes a lifetime commitment to this to really get the full benefit at an individual level, at a family level, at an institutional level, at a societal level. And we're going to talk about how that's going to affect all the institutions of society. Then we have what I call the bridge. And the bridge is this. You then recite, after the 4 commandments of honor, you recite this. What is the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? What is the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So honor within the system becomes the gold standard for everything. So it's a paradigm shift. We're not looking for happiness. We're looking for honor, which is the foundation of true happiness. Then we have more teachings, the Supremacy of Honor Code, and many other aspects, but that's the foundation. It's a very simple system. The healing effects in terms of medicine, we're going to go into that, medicinal effects, psychological effects are enormous. We have many studies on this, and I'll be sharing that as well. So it's an empirical system, research-based, and my 50 years of experience, of clinical experience, and the research that I've conducted over these 50 years. That gives an overview of honor. Now we go into thoughts, which is very connected to free will. There are 2 types of thoughts. Most people don't know this. In fact, practically nobody knows this. They're the thoughts that pop into your mind, but do not define who you are. It's based on your genetics, family upbringing, societal norms. A lot of them are negative. In fact, one massive study at the University of Maryland showed that 80% of people's thoughts are negative. And it's not your fault. You didn't choose those negative thoughts. So you're not to blame. Don't even worry about it. It just pops into your mind. But there's a second category. We have a whole program around this. A second category, very important one. It's where you can choose your thoughts. Where you can actually choose your thoughts. We're the only species that can do this. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you. Right now, have a pleasant memory. Think of somebody you saw today that you love, or something you ate that you enjoyed. Now, I know you did it rapidly, naturally, easily. A 6-year-old can do it. In fact, I have a program for children called Happy Thoughts for Happy Kids. And it's based on just that. So when you did it, look what you did. You chose the polarity. It wasn't a negative thought. It was a pleasant thought. It was a positive thought. You chose the polarity of your thought. And you chose a time dimension. It wasn't a future. It wasn't a present. It was something from your past. Now that's power. And that free will, that demonstrates the power of free will, where you can choose that at any time of the day, anytime, anywhere. Free will. Of course, those thoughts lead to emotions and actions, but we're going to the foundation of what free will is. Now, right now, just to take it one step further, have this thought. Think to yourself silently this thought: I wish you well. Do it 3 times to yourself. Again, I know you did it naturally, rapidly, and easily. A 6-year-old can do it as well. In fact, I recommend doing this with the children every day to empower them, to show them the power of their mind. But look what you just did. You actually chose the content of your thought. I wish you well. You chose that thought. You chose to actually do that. The whole system that I've developed over these 50 years is based on this very foundational, fundamental power that we have as human beings. Now, certainly within any community and society, I'm just giving you a summary, certainly within society, to have a society, to have institutions, communication between each other is essential. We have to communicate with each other. And in the honor movement, the manner of communication, I call it respectfully real communication. Not real, but respectfully real communication. Let me make the distinction, summarize it this way. If you said to somebody, hey, I just want to be real with you. I think you're stupid. I think you're even ugly. I don't like you. I don't even want to see you again. Just being real. Well, of course, that creates quite a barrier and a distance and probably a hostility in the other person. But if you had said to that person, and hypothetically this could have been the case, say, listen, I want you to know what you said before hurt me. I felt humiliated. If you could find it in your heart to apologize, I'd be so grateful. You're then choosing to show your vulnerability, and that's respectfully real. An example of respectfully real communication where you're building a bridge. You're building a bridge or a connection. So we're seeing at the top is honor, thoughts with free will, respect for real communication. Then we're going the foundational institutions, marriage, and by that it could be where people are legally married, or they're just married, they've been living together a long time. Not all societies have a legal marriage, but they're married emotionally, spiritually, and legally when that applies. And in marriage, we have what I call the honor marriage and the needs marriage. The needs marriage, which is very common, the most common type, you're going to take care of my needs, I'm going to take care of your needs. If you stop taking care of my needs, I'm out of here. That's the needs basis. You're going to fulfill my needs, I'll fulfill your needs. And it's typically you want to get. Now, in the honor marriage, certainly you want to receive, there's no question about it. But it's really based on what can I do for you? I want to give to you, I want to make your life really good. Or any way I can serve you, it would be my privilege to do that. And of course, you need some reciprocity in it, but it's not the focus. The focus is serving the other, putting the other before ourselves to the extent possible, to at least aspire to that. To at least aspire to that. Now, parenting. So we're giving a little summary here. Parenting. We have a very serious problem going on. There's been a breakdown of parental respect, or respect for the parent. The parents need to express and manifest the unconditional love we have for our children. The children then need to show that unconditional respect they have for the parent. They have that unconditional respect. They're born that way. but they're also born with the instinct to test limits. There's been a breakdown in that parental respect. And when a child disrespects the parent, that means they're going to disrespect themselves. Why? Because the parent is internalized within the child. And if they disrespect themselves, they're going to disrespect the institutions of society, and they'll disrespect the laws of God themselves. Let's look at what that leads to. The main problem in education is not funding. I know people think if you throw enough money at it, you're going to get an education. Not true. You can have a roof that leaks with computers that hardly work and get a great education if the students respect the teacher. They'll get a top-notch education. But that won't happen unless they respect their parents. If they disrespect the parents, then they're going to disrespect all authorities and people in power. It's going to be across the board. So a parent needs to say, hey, when you talk to me that way, I'm your father, I'm your mother. That's not acceptable. This will be the consequence. Reward and punishment. Foundational. This will be the consequence. You have to show respect. You don't have to like me, but you sure have to show me respect. And a parent needs to know that they know what's best for their children more than the children know. For example, a 2-year-old is playing with a ball, goes in the street, car's coming, and he goes after the ball. He's going to get run over. The parent runs out, grabs the child, frustrates his desire to get the ball. The child's screaming and maybe kicking and so upset with the parent, not realizing that the parent knew what's best for him and saved his life. Didn't know what was best for him. The parent knows what's best for the children. And a parent needs to know that. Don't expect the child to know what's best for him. You want to certainly listen to the children. And certainly you want to manifest that unconditional love. But know that you know what's best up to a certain age. Now, you're a director of your children. Now, they get to a certain age, could be 11, 12, 13, 14, 20, where you go from being a director to being an advisor. Advise them and they make the decisions and live with it. Now, so that's parenting is one of the foundational institutions. The other is education. From kindergarten on, children should be educated in a foundational necessity of knowing how to deal with their thoughts. They should certainly know from the beginning there are two types of thoughts. The thoughts that pop in their mind but does not define who they are, and the ones they can choose. That should be there from the beginning. And they should be taught about respect from the beginning. So the parents are doing it. It has to start there, and then that's further emphasized in the educational system. And the educational system within the honor movement, the program should also, that we've developed, is right now, the student studies, regurgitates the information that the teacher or professor wants him or her to know. And that's good. You want to know that, you want that knowledge. But there should also be where the student is graded on the questions they ask. They should write the answer to these questions that the professor provides, and then here write down 10, 20 questions that delve into exploring the issues involved and grade it on the questions. The question is as important and sometimes even more important than knowing answers. And that's lacking right now. So in the honor movement, we have a program for bringing that in. And the other foundational institution is a livelihood. Everybody has to make a living. Absolutely. And so this needs to be taught. A job is something you do from 9 to 5 to pay your bills. A career is a job you really enjoy. A calling is a career you would do for free if you could afford to. And a destiny is a calling you would actually pay to do if you could afford to do it. What I do is a destiny. I would pay actually to do it. I love the people so much. I'm so thrilled and feel so privileged to be a part of their lives. I mean, it's my destiny. So there you have honor, thoughts of free will, respect for real communication, marriage, parenting, education, and livelihood. That's the foundation. That's the foundation for all over 30 programs that we have. And I want to say this, that we have over 940 lectures on video programs, right? On videos that are ready to be given to the world. And I've written over 95 books. And again, the main textbook is The Teachings of Honor. Well, this concludes the first part, the foundation for all the society building programs, and there are over 30 of them. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to all of our wonderful people who attend the seminar. So I'm opening up. Your comments, your questions are so helpful to everybody who watches the videos that we produce from this. Everybody loves hearing from each other. Hugh, go ahead, please.
As far as the thoughts that pop into your head are concerned, from a spiritual standpoint, do you think they could be from Satan?
Well, they're different. I'm not going to get into a theological aspect of the source of them, but let's just say that we get certainly some thoughts that are very negative, very destructive, and different people have an idea what the source is. The point is we all get them. There's nobody who escapes getting those thoughts. But a person following the path of honor does not manifest them, doesn't speak them, doesn't act on them. And because of two natures that we have, the lower nature or the animal nature and the spiritual nature, the divine nature, the honor nature. And so this is a path of not being in denial of the animal nature or of the lower nature, but understanding it, not fighting it. We don't fight against the negativity, not at all. We let it be. We balance it with constructive, positive, honorable thoughts. We may be getting a thought, well, gee, I just want to tell that person off. I can't stand them. And we balance it with a thought such as, I wish you well. Now, the negative thought of being angry at the person is more powerful emotionally, and you can't help getting that thought, but then I wish you well. What happens is when you balance it every time, the negative thoughts come back less and less often. The negative thoughts will come less often, less duration, or less intensity. That's the good news. But you are responsible for balancing it with a constructive, positive, honorable thought. And what I put together in the whole honor movement are the most powerful, constructive, positive thoughts in the universe. Now, the principles of honor, these are not mantras, which could be a sound like Om. They're not affirmations, which are usually statements about ourselves, such as, I'm a good person, I'm a successful person. They're not affirmations, not mantras. These principles are commandments. We're commanding the honor that already resides within us, because we already know these four principles of honor, to arise in the consciousness and manifest in thought, word, and action. Good question. Thank you.
When it comes to parenting, should you be the parent or the friend?
Well, the question is whether you should be the parent or the friend. And certainly having a friendship is fine, but you have to always maintain your position as the parent. Sometimes you're gonna make calls that your children are gonna like. Sometimes you're not gonna like them. And very often the children, we do so much for the children. I myself have 7, and we're vulnerable through the children. We suffer through the children. We have some enjoyment through the children. But the real gift of our children is the unconditional love, the divine spark of love that's aroused within us through the child being born. We love our children before they conceive. We love our children before they're born. That's how that really works. Before you even knew their identity, you loved your child. Before you knew the gender or anything about your child, you already loved that child. That's how it is. And that's how it is with God towards us. Kathy, you have a question or comment?
I was going to ask you about the marriage part. Could honor marriage and needs marriage intertwine? Can they coexist with each other?
Absolutely. I mean, there is some amount of needs that have to be fulfilled, but it's an emphasis. Many marriages, perhaps most, are based on needs. Fewer are based on honor. And to the extent that you have honor being a strong motive in the marriage, the marriage is going to be a happier one, more successful one, assuming some degree of reciprocity. But that would need to be the emphasis. And so when the other person serves us and behaves honorably towards us, then it behooves us to be grateful. And that gratitude should be expressed to the other person. You've done all this for me. I'm so grateful to you. I know with my wife, who's done more for me than anybody in my life's ever done. My parents were so good to me. My wife's even better to me. I'm always, day and night, I'm thanking her for everything. And it's a great pleasure to be grateful. It's very enjoyable. As a matter of fact, I would say that gratitude is itself a form of happiness. Very good comment and question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nimblin.
Yeah, you're most welcome, Kathy. Now we're going to go to some of the society-building programs of the Honor Movement. Some of the society-building programs of the Honor Movement. So you can see that on the screen. Well, we have many videos on health, fitness, and exercise. And the reason it's part of the Honor Movement is being healthy allows us to serve one another more, allows us to serve society more. And there's another part to it. We become less of a burden when we're healthy. If a person's eating a lot of sugar, a lot of sodium, a lot of processed foods, drinking alcohol, smoking, that person is more likely to become a burden to the loved ones who are going to have to take care of him or her, at the hospitals, raising insurance premiums, filling the hospitals up because they didn't take care of themselves. So honor demands living a healthy lifestyle. Now, in terms of eating, you want beans, greens, and berries. We go into a lot of this. Then, of course, you want to make sure you're getting your vitamin D, and you certainly want to make a distinction between normal and optimal health. Optimal health is really the goal. For example, if you could do your blood work, which you should do at least twice a year, if your vitamin D is over 30, that's considered normal. But if it's less than 50, you're going to have a shorter lifespan. Optimal vitamin D is 50 to 80. Blood sugar, under 100 is considered normal. But 95 to 100, you're more inclined towards Alzheimer's. Optimal blood sugar level, fasting glucose level, is 75 to 85. These are just some of the examples where you're going to go for optimal health. Then certainly you want to do cardio for your heart, but also you want to be doing weight-bearing exercise with weights because that will build up your muscles and strengthen your bones. Your muscles turns out to be a longevity organ. It helps promote the length of your life. They give off a hormone called myokines, and it helps cut down inflammation, increases the mitochondrial density in the brain, actually helps prevent Alzheimer's. And so the more mitochondria you have, which is the energy powerhouse in every cell in our bodies. So you want to be doing that weightlifting. And then, of course, you want to look at what Chinese and what India has, the Chinese, the Qigong. You want to be exploring that for organ health and energy health. And yoga methods of opening up the energy chakras. You want to be knowledgeable. All of that's recommended. I'm just going to go through in the way that I have it here. It's not any particular order. People work, really want to retire. And so they save up money. They may have a 401k. They've been paying into Social Security. So within the Honor Movement, we talk about retirement. Your best retirement plan, the best 401k is health. If you don't have your health and you've got $100 million, it's not going to go well for you. My father and I came up with this saying many years ago, about 40 years ago. Man spends his health in search of wealth and then spends his wealth in search of health. So you want your health to be your retirement program. Then, of course, if you can have your health and money, that's great. But money without your health, you're not going to enjoy it. Also, it's important when you retire to have a strong sense of purpose in your life. Otherwise, your lifespan will be reduced. You want to live as long as you can with as much vitality as possible so that you can serve others, enjoy your life. And Of course, if you believe in God, you want to look forward to the next life, to the other side of the veil, which is supposed to be much greater than here, and then do all in your power to stay here for the brief lifespans that we have. The body, if we don't destroy ourselves, is said to be geared for making it to at least 120. Then we have a program for the wisdom teachings. And I'm defining wisdom as integrating your gains and your losses, your joys and your sorrows into a constructive perspective. And we have videos on that. Another program we have is for world loneliness. It's a great deal of loneliness in the world, enormous loneliness, especially here in America. People are very isolated. They feel very lonely. And it leads to aberrant behaviors, it leads to pathological conditions, leads to mental and physical illness. The way for overcoming world loneliness is, one, to the extent that we're respectful real communication. We talk to each other in a respectful manner. Number two, you need to know this, and this is part of the honor movement. We have programs on this. You have the right to be who you really are. You have the right to be your true self, as long as the expression of your true self is done in a respectfully real manner, with kindness, wisdom, and appropriateness. So you have the right to be who you really are. So that's another one of the programs that we have in society building programs. Then we have political unity. We know how divisive politics are, extremely so. But every political party would agree that it's virtuous to abide by the four principles of honor. If they don't want to talk about God, one with God, you wish is my only wish, they can go, I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality, my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. I seek always to serve my highest values. So certainly that pledge to follow the way of honor, it could be, each political party, the members could be taking that. It would lead to more civility to the extent that people follow it. At least taking the pledge to follow that would help them not only within their political party, but between parties. Now, we have programs for race unity. We know there are issues going on between the races. Let's talk about between the white and black race. Been there for a long time. And certainly we know that racism is there and whatnot. And it's up to the, in terms of the white race, to overcome its unconscious sense of superiority, and the black race to have a degree of forgiveness, and we move forward to a more unified dimension. Now, people need to know this about racism. If you have a racist thought against the other race, you didn't choose that thought. So it's the thought itself doesn't make you a racist. Not at all. Society is talking about these things, manifesting. You're going to get those thoughts. But as soon as you get that thought, you then balance it with a thought, I wish you well. I really wish you well. That's one of the thoughts to be used. So what you want to manifest is a positive statement about the other race, whatever the other race is, and certainly, and your actions to be consistent with a loving, constructive interaction. And by the way, we have in the honor movement, white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American. We have Christian, Catholic, Baha'i, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, and atheist. So it cuts across all religions, all ethnicities. Then we have a program for the police. The police are doing an amazing job. They're heroes. I mean, they put themselves in harm's way. But we would add to that where they take a pledge to be people of respect. So the pledge would go this way. Each man and woman would raise their right hand. I pledge as a man of honor, I pledge as a woman of honor, to follow the law of respect for all the days of my life. I'll recite it morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll listen to myself recite it. Extreme respect always. So they're committing to extreme respect. And to the extent that that manifests and becomes the culture, they still may have to shoot somebody, still may have to arrest somebody, but to the extent that respect is brought into it, it'll bring a lot of goodwill towards all people, all races, to the extent that's manifesting. Again, I want to say what a wonderful job, and thank God we have our police. They risk their lives to protect all of us. Most policemen are great human beings. In any profession, you have some that are not so great, but amazing. We have a program for what is your purpose in life. Every session that we have, when I see patients, or Bertrand as our nurse practitioner seeing patients, we always ask this question: what is your purpose in life? Now, when the people in the program will typically say honor, or family and honor, or family health and honor, or family, honor, health, and happiness. Some combination of that, but typically family and honor. In fact, having a purpose in life is part of increasing your longevity. When people retire, if they don't have a sense of purpose, it used to be that a man, if he retired, would die very often within 6 months because he's lived his purpose. And if you go to many of the retirement homes, many of the people, they don't have a sense of purpose anymore. They're just waiting to die. Every day the ambulance comes to pick up somebody and they're off to the hospitals. We have a program about death, the best true story about death. One of the derivatives of the commandments of honor is, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? So what's the best true story I can tell myself about death? And in there, we have programs where we're encouraging people to talk to their loved ones, to commune with them, knowing also that your loved ones will come into your dreams, the reality of dreams. I mean, with your eyes closed, you're seeing things, you're seeing places and people perhaps you never even saw before. And some of them will even manifest in the material world at some point. And within all spiritual approaches, the next life, going the other side of the veil, is considered far greater than here. As a matter of fact, people who have near-death experiences, sometimes they're angry when they're brought back. A lot of times to see a light and loved ones and so forth, or to see God or the light that represents the divine being, or they'll see Jesus or Buddha, whomever. They'll see some divine teacher. And so the approach of death that we have is to encourage us to look forward to it, knowing we're going to die, which makes us appreciate our life while we're still here. At the same time, fighting like heck with all our might to stay here and be healthy. Then we have the program for living in the present. I mean, in terms of chronological time, only the present exists. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. Of course, in psychological time, in the psyche, the present hardly exists. Most of what exists is then, the past and the present. But learning to come into the present, taking a deep breath. I'm here now, right now. Enjoy the moment. So we have a program developing that attitude, which takes us to the honor movement concept of vacation. The program we have there is a statement: vacation is not a location, it's a state of mind. You could pay $10,000, $20,000 to go somewhere with your spouse, but if you're fighting and arguing and you lose your luggage, you're not going to have a good time. It's not going to be a vacation. State of mind. When you wake up in the morning, you love your spouse. I mean, that's a vacation. You're present. You see the beauty. You smell the coffee. You see the beauty of the flowers. That's a vacation. So we have a program developing that. Now, honor is a path to a self-actualization. As you follow the path of honor, it's a potent stimulus, a potent catalyst for manifesting your potential, because all the factors that would hold you back tend to be reduced. When you follow the way of honor, you're more resilient, you have more self-respect, you achieve more wisdom. You can't achieve wisdom without suffering. You achieve more wisdom, more compassion. Now, happiness and suffering are fleeting. Only honor is forever. So self-actualization, we have programs on that. Now, we also have a program for management. Every management style taught will absolutely fail without the program I'm going to tell you about. They will actually fail, every one of them. And I call it the law of the key factor. To have effective management, you must have fairness training. The management and the supervisor must be fair. If you tell an employee to do something, even if they don't like it, if they feel, well, it's fair or it's not unfair, they'll do it. So I don't like it, but I'll do it. But if they feel it's not fair, you're more prone to poor morale, litigation, absenteeism, theft. So we have programs for developing fairness management. Then we have a program for the medical profession, where words as medicine. Bert Lotreng and I, nurse practitioner, did a study, about 256 people. We said, the goal of your therapy is for you to come back much stronger than ever. And I'm totally committed to doing all I can to help you come back much stronger than ever. And 98% of people said it gave them more hope. Over 97% of people said it gave them more optimism. Well, that's medicinal, because we know for a fact there are many studies showing that optimism is correlated with better prognosis. The more optimistic you are, the better you respond to the surgery or any disease you have. So words is medicine, and thoughts are medicine. Then we tell our patients to then say to themselves, I hope to come back much stronger than ever, which is a derivative of one of the commandments of honor. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. Then we have a program for unity of religions and spirituality. It doesn't matter what religion you are or what spiritual path you're on. Everybody agrees with the 4 principles of honor. So whatever the differences are, definitely they will all agree, I wish you well, it's part of our path. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality, my problems, part of the path. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship, part of the path. And either God, you wish is my only wish, or I seek always to serve my highest values, part of the path. So that could bring a sense of unity. Say, listen, you may not accept the divine teacher, the founder of the religion, but you have the same basic, you believe in these same 4 principles we do. That could be a unifying force. Now then we have, basically we have, really people tend to like to have deep conversations or like to have superficial or chat. I mean, it's just a preference that people have. Now, most people prefer chatting and keeping it light. So most people who like to go deep feel like misfits and outcasts and are lonely because they need to have that heart connection, a deeper connection, either intellectually and emotionally. They need that. So understanding that they're only misfits around people who want to keep things light, we call them the chats, but around other deeps, and the honor movement is a gathering of the deeps, around other deeps, they fit in because they can be themselves. Whenever we have a meeting of the leaders in the honor movement, I always say, listen, this is not a typical social situation. Be yourself, go deep if you want to. If you want to be superficial, that's fine too. But the thing about going deep is nobody wants to be deep all the time. Be light, superficial, chat, but knowing you can go deep and it's acceptable. That's key. Because, for some people, if they're committed to being a chap, if you say, well, what do you think about life and death? They'll look at you like, what? Why are you asking me that? It's very inappropriate. But amongst the deeps, which we have a lot amongst my patients who come to me, mostly deeps, and the honor movement, you can go to any question or comment that's genuine and respectful. Then we have a program for cosmetics so that women could look more beautiful, men could look more handsome. And it's called Inner Cosmetics. You can have, let's take women. I have a book and videos on the way of the beauty of a woman. Lipstick of the Soul is the subtitle. So she might be perfect body, beautiful features, but something's just not there when you look at her. The beauty of the heart affects that to the extent that she's sweet, loving, honorable. That affects the lines around the mouth and affects the glow in the eyes. So there's inner cosmetics, which affect, in itself is beautiful. It's beautiful in and of itself, but actually lends a beauty to the physical appearance of people. So we have a whole program for that. Then we have a program for warriors. Now, warriors, I'm defining being a warrior, as those who seek to gain power from hardship. So they follow the commandment of honor. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And so the way of the warrior, there's a distinction between being a warrior and a hero. A hero can be a warrior, but many heroes are not. A hero is somebody who risks his life to help protect another. That's a hero, like all our police force, our military, they're all heroes. But only a warrior seeks to gain power from hardship, and so we have programs developing that. Then we have programs for ending wars. Now, many wars, there's been killing in the name of God. It's been going on that for centuries and centuries and centuries, killing in the name of God. All religions forbid murder, but any religion that exists or that can find scriptures to, in addition to forbidding murder, but to forbid killing in the name of religion, forbid killing in the name of God, that would help end a large portion of the wars. Then, of course, to the extent that honor enters into politics and the honor movement grows, other ways will be found because there are more honorable ways to settle disputes than that. Then we have a program for road safety or road rage. I found the 4 causes of road rage. I found the cure for road rage. I've been called America's road rage therapist. It's been said that I coined the term road rage, which I didn't. I did popularize the term and been interviewed literally thousands of times, testified before Congress. So that whole program is to bring civility and honor to our roads. A tremendous program for that, tremendous. Then we have athletics. We know how influential athletes are. They're role models, whether they should be role models or not, they are. So an honor athlete, we're bringing honor into athleticism. So it's humble in victory, strength by defeat. Humble in victory, strength by defeat. And the pledge to be an honor athlete, I pledge by all that is sacred to me that I will not use my knowledge and power for unjust causes, but will only use it for constructive and honorable purposes. I am an honor athlete. And we have a program for that. And the whole idea is to bring that into the schools, bring that into professional athletes. Then we have a program for our elderly. We don't call them senior citizens. We call our elderly, we call them honored elders. The terminology brings more respect because our elders are sort of outcasts. I mean, we're a country at this time in America for the youth, but our elders are repositories of wisdom and historical knowledge. Tremendous lot we could be learning from them. Tremendous. They need to be, we're losing all the tremendous power that they can be giving, the knowledge that they can be sharing with us is unfortunately lost. But part of bringing that focus is the terminology honored elders. Homeless is kind of a pejorative term, so people also use the term unhoused. We call them unbounded. They're unbounded. And the logo of the honor movement, the motto is honor to the people, honor to the people. And so it's not homeless, unbounded. They can live wherever they want. And we have a program. But the thing is, we want to bring that terminology. Then we have a program for felons. The program for felons is from darkness to light, from felon to felon of light. We salute those who captured us, tried us, imprisoned us. You were a catalyst for our destiny. So we have a whole program. Probably about 50% of felons would qualify as being felons of light, where they want to do good in society. So we have a whole program, so many videos on that. In fact, we also have a program related to that on law. In fact, I've got to add that on to this list. So with law, I made a program called the Psychology of the Plea Bargain, Assessing and Handling Defendant Credibility. This will help cut down recidivism and plus make sincere people who really face up to what they did more likely get a better outcome. So a felon And then, in fact, the program for the law, the psychology of the plea bargain, I sent it to the California Bar. They loved it and approved it for continuing education, so attorneys could take my program to renew their license and get 5.25 hours credit. Stanford Law Library loved it and bought it for $275. So I did that as a psychologist. Again, when it comes to the movement, we don't charge anything for any of the programs. Then we have what I call the social revolution of dialogue. Social revolution of dialogue is based on that you have the right to be who you really are. You could talk deeply. Right now, there's a social contract that you have to keep it superficially. You're locked into talking superficially, and only certain subjects are appropriate. We interviewed 1,800 people, and we found over 70% of people want to be able to go deep 50% of the time. Right now, it's about 5 people go deep about 5% now, and superficial 95%. So over 70% want to go deep 95%, over 50% of the time. And they want to be able to go deep and superficial and anything to be socially appropriate to talk about as long as it's done in a respectful manner. We interviewed 1,800 people, and those were the findings. Basically, a new social contract. A new social contract. Then we have a program for business and money. The Supremacy of Honor Code, it goes honor before pride, honor before money, honor before anger, honor before sex, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. So one part is honor before money. So to the extent that we're putting honor before money, we want to bring that ethic. I mean, money matters tremendously, but you're going to sell your honor for money. I mean, that's really problematic. But it happens a lot. So we have a whole program for business and making money and using the money when we make money to use it to add value to the world, to add something, not just for our vanity or indulgence, although there's nothing wrong with having enjoyment and pleasure and indulging some vanity, but also a strong motive to add value to the world. And then there's a whole program on psychology, many facets of psychology, and that'll be the third part of my presentation today. So that was a lot of material there. That was some of the society building programs of the honor movement. That's not all the programs, but it's a little summary, a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the programs. Again, based on the programs to develop the foundation of all society building programs. So all these programs are based on honor, thoughts, respectfully real communication, marriage, parenting, education, and livelihood. That's the foundation, and we've got over 30 programs built on that foundation. So now I want to take a moment and see if there's any comments or questions. There's a lot of material I presented to you. Hugh.
Which of your programs do you think is the most important?
What's the program? When you look at the importance of the programs, there's actually, when you really look at it, money is such an important part, and business is so important. I mean, so many people are abused, such a misuse of power and abuse of power in the work environment. It's disabling people. It's making people depressed, anxious, causing panic attacks. Tremendous stress, and that affects family life. So certainly, very foundational is bringing fairness into management. So I would say what happens in a business and in livelihood affects everything tremendously.
One of my favorite areas of respectfully real communication is in marriage.
Yeah, respectfully real communication in marriage is absolutely essential. And certainly in the work environment, it's super important because you most of the times at work or in the office, it's probably, 70% of your waking hours are those locations. So to the extent you have respect for real communication on the job, and respect for real communication at home, your life, the quality of your life will be enormously enhanced. Very good point. Respect for real communication. Again, not being real with each other, being respectfully real.
Being real can get you in trouble.
Yeah, being real can get you in trouble. Matter of fact, in the 60s, we were just exploding out of ourselves, and people just want to be real. Hey, bro, I just want to be real with you. And people said it was god-awful things. And then it took me 20 years later to start realizing, you know what, we don't want real. We want respectfully real. You could say what's in your heart, but it's got to be done in a respectful manner. Well, now we'll go to the third part, some of the programs of the honor movement. We see a chart coming on screen. This is the mental health program of the honor movement. So the dimensions that we have there, I've told you the research, self-respect. So we use, if your self-respect is tied to your looks, your beauty, your handsomeness, or your money, that comes and goes. It can be taken from you. My self-respect and self-esteem depend only on my honor. So we have a program to internalize that. The repetition is preparation for application to help achieve internalization and stabilization. So the communication that we talk about, respectfully real, anger management, which knowing how to deal with our aggressive and sexual impulses. It's normal for people from the unconscious to have aggressive and sexual impulses. And we have programs for how to deal with that in a constructive way, deal with panic attacks, depression, anxiety, failure. A lot of people are so terrified of failure, but we talk about the road to success is paved with failure. We've got a lot on that. We have a lot of, in terms of the healing power of honor, programs on family, procrastination, creativity. Now with procrastination, a lot of people suffer from procrastination. So we have programs where the whole idea is you make your plan, jump in, mess it up, clean it up. And the other one is when you say now, you want to have a word that triggers it. When you say now, you're in. Never say that word unless you're going to do it. Well, but that's just a little summary of this. I mean, there's a lot more can go into all of these. We have, again, the 95 books, over 940 lectures on this. So there's some of the programs of the honor movement. The mental health program of the honor movement. And certainly dealing with anger management, it's a major issue for people, is knowing how to deal with vulnerability. And one of the laws of honor is, I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. I hope to respond much more to your vulnerability than your negativity. And I hope to respond much more to my vulnerability than my negativity. Beneath all negativity, anger, aloofness, always is vulnerability. The person feels hurt, neglected, abandoned, jealous, inferior, humiliated, overwhelmed. And the goal is to respond to the vulnerability that's underneath that anger. If a 2-year-old came up to you and went, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, you wouldn't say, well, you brat, you poop in your diaper, you hate me, I hate you. You wouldn't say that. You say, come here, mijo, I love you, sweetheart. Come here, sweetheart, I love you. You kiss him. You're responding to the vulnerability. And so it doesn't matter if somebody's 2, 22, 52, or 102. The goal is to aspire to respond more to the vulnerability. It's a direction to go in. You never totally master it, but you go, that's the direction you want to go in. Makes a big difference. To the extent you're actualizing your potential, that will help reduce your depression. That's one important dimension of it. And following the honor movement, that's going to help you with that enormously. And having a strong sense of purpose helps you knowing how to deal with your thoughts. You get these negative thoughts, depressing thoughts, even suicidal thoughts. I have a program on transforming suicidal thoughts into life-giving thoughts and understanding where that's coming from. And anxiety, we have the deep breathing programs, and then using some statements, I hope I'll be okay, or God willing, I'll be okay. And whatever hardships and tribulations and trauma we go through, I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. For those who believe in God, there's a derivative God. I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. So we have these thoughts, because the thoughts are medicine. I prescribe thoughts all day long. Well, it's been my pleasure and my privilege to present to you a summary of the society building programs of the honor movement. Thank you so much.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters, who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.